Over 100,000 protesters gathered to pressure Belarus president to resign.
Here's a summary of the article.
Minsk, Belarus. More than 100,000 protesters demanding the resignation of Belarus authoritarian president rallied Sunday in a vast square in the capital, keeping up the massive outburst of dissent that has shaken the country since a disputed presidential election 2 weeks ago. Earlier this month, some 7,000 people were arrested, many of them beaten with clubs or wounded by rubber bullets, in the protests after the August 9 election that officials say handed President Alexander Lukashenko a sixth term in office. Protesters say the official election results, in which Lukashenko reportedly received 80% of the vote, are fraudulent. Lukashenko has consistently repressed any opposition during his time in office, and weariness with his hardline rule, as well as dismay over the country's deteriorating economy and Lukashenko's cavalier dismissal of the coronavirus pandemic, appear to have galvanized opponents. Belarus has changed. Lukashenko has been able to unify everybody, from workers to intelligentsia, in the demand for change, said protester Slava Chirkov, who attended Sunday's demonstration with his wife and son. They held a sign declaring, "Lukashenko, your milk has gone sour," referencing Lukashenko's former job as the director of a Soviet-era collective farm. Lukashenko's main election challenger, Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya, fled to Lithuania the day after the election.
This post received a score of 13,000, with an upvote ratio of 98%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
This seems like their only hope. Nationwide strikes. I hope they can outlast Lukashenko.
Seeing as their dictator point-blank said they'd have to kill him before he'd resign, nationwide strikes ain't gonna do shit.
You'd be surprised. If no one did anything because one man said it wouldn't work, then we'd live in a very different world.
National worker strikes would probably work. When those with money start losing it hand over fist, you can bet your bottom ruble he gets suicided.
A dictatorship lasts as long as it is profitable.
When all pretense of popular rule fades or combusts, then it lasts as long as the men with the weapons decide it does. If they are bribed and or scared enough, usually a combination, they won't turn on him. Profitability's got nothing to do with that calculation, as long as there's enough scraps around to keep them happy and enough of an intelligence apparatus to keep them scared of rebelling, then the rest of society can remain in utter misery and starve. Venezuela is a good example of this. As one autocrat put it, enrich the soldiers, scorn everyone else.
Perhaps they are talking about on the perspective that the supporters of the leader is profiting. Perhaps if Venezuela had no oil, he would have been ousted long before.
Dude, fuck their government. What a bunch of pussy-ass bitches. Best luck to Belarus, I hope they succeed.
These people know that if this doesn't work, they will be on their own, an individual who can be arrested later.
I think Google Translate failed you.
Thank you, corrected now.
Still not really sure what you said.
My attempt. These protesters are aware that this uprising is their only chance. If it fails, they will be back to being helpless individuals who will be arrested by the secret police one by one. We root for you, Belarus.
It happened in South Korea, so keep up the protests.
And then we got another president who is heavily criticized. Koreans will never be happy with any leader.
Is there another mass protest against the new prez in SK?
No, but there are protests currently. Right-winger protests.
It never ends.
Bet there's a pool going to see when Moon gets sent to prison. Wouldn't want to break the tradition of a Korean prez going to jail for something.
A tradition unlike any other. I would not surprised if Moon does end up in prison. I wouldn't know for what though.
He's not going to resign. You see him today in military gear holding an automatic machine gun?
He's a fucking psycho cosplaying a fake military threat. It's all setting the stage where he can justify military action against his own people.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.